Let's talk about the importance of faith and the importance of the necessity of it within the spiritual journey. And in fact, if you are here to discover the power that you possess within yourself through the ability to heal yourself on this journey, faith is something that is absolutely needed. It's almost impossible to draw forward the things that we want in our lives or manifest the things we want in our lives without the ability to know how faith plays into all of that. Faith is used in the Bible over 200 times in many different contexts. And in Hebrews 11 and 1, faith is said to be the substance of things that are hoped for, the evidence of things not yet seen. So faith is not something that we possess that we can always see is going to happen. And that is very different than how we lived in a world where we were purely entangled in the physicality of things. We were taught that our five senses were what we used when we had belief in something as being real. And yet, now that we're on the spiritual journey and we're cultivating the sixth sense of intuition, we understand that faith is required. And that means that it's cultivated from within. It just so happens that when the cultivation of that from within happens, we can start to see evidence of it on the things outside of us, something that is really quite drastically different than how we were taught growing up. Why is faith so necessary? Well, one of the greater parables that Jesus mentioned in the Bible in Matthew has to do with counsel that he gave his disciples after a lack of faith that they had. This lack of faith happened during a miracle that a man had come to them for pertaining to his son who was possessed with a demon. They were unable to extract this demon from his son. This man then went to Jesus and asked him to perform the miracle, but also told him that his disciples were unable to do it. Jesus performed the miracle and then counseled his disciples on their inability to be able to perform this miracle. He said to them that if you had faith as small as a mustard seed, that you could tell these mountains to move, and they would. Now, what did he mean by faith as small as a mustard seed? And could they really move mountains? What he was indicating was not so much about the ability of what it was that they could accomplish through their faith, but rather the quality of the faith that was needed in order to accomplish that, not the quantity. What does that mean? That means that their self limiting beliefs about themselves far outweighed their ability to have faith that they could actually perform that miracle. That even if the mustard seed of faith that they had was more believable in them than the self limiting belief, it would have happened. So let's look at this in the context of our own lives. We all come with self limiting beliefs. We've had self limiting beliefs due to our experiences in our life that have happened to us, not just in this lifetime, but in many lifetimes. And those experiences and self limiting beliefs follow us in every experience that we tend to have from that moment forward. But if you want to make a difference in your life, if you want to heal, then faith is necessary for you to cultivate, because it's the faith that's going to help you build upon this idea that you can change your life, because the faith that you possess far outweighs the self-limiting belief that you have about yourself. Now, it doesn't mean that the self-limiting belief is not going to show itself every time there's a situation. I imagine that when the disciples were learning how to perform miracles, it didn't just come automatically. There would have been self limiting beliefs that came into them or came to them during this time. But what Jesus was saying is that if there was an aspect of you, even if it was as small as a mustard seed, that believed that you could, as long as that faith in that mustard seed belief far outweighed the idea that you couldn't do it, then you would see miracles happen. So, this idea that we have to have all our ducks in a row is false in order for us to see positive outcomes in our life. What does need to happen is that we need to grow this ability to believe that good things can happen in our life. If you are somebody who is negative, who speaks negativity into this world, who has a tendency to come into every situation using the old, tools of what you've been using in your life, your entire life, or you're somebody who thinks you can get away with throwing a few positive affirmations out there, but lacks the ability to truly believe the positivity within those affirmations, then you cannot expect to see the power that you possess to turn things around. You cannot fool the universe. The universe knows because the universe resides within you. And as you grow this ability to have faith, you also grow this intelligence within you that embodies the faith that you are trying to cultivate within your life. You and this intelligence are co creating together. And it is as simple as asking sometimes to show you something different or a way that is different than what it is that you have always previously done in the situations that you encounter. When I was on this trip and I faced difficult situations, one of the things that I recognized were the emotions that were coming up in me. It didn't just mean that I could snap my fingers and things would change. No, it meant that the obstacle that was presenting itself more than the obstacle that was actually happening were the emotions that were surfacing in me. I recognized by stepping back away from those emotions and acknowledging them that I had a choice. I could either play into those emotions and speak negative, you know, a negativity period into existence and act upon those emotions, or I could have the faith that things could work out differently by turning to this universal consciousness, God, and asking to be shown a different way that would help me overcome the obstacle that was currently in my path. And although something may not have surfaced instantaneously, it always happened that something showed itself. Because once I recognized that I had the ability to be able to not act upon what I would always do in these situations, I made myself still. I became incredibly present within that moment, and I awaited the answers by looking for the signs. And without a word of lie, they always came. I got out of my way and allowed the faith that I had that the universe was going to produce something positive for me. And without fail, it always happened. So remember, when it comes to faith, it doesn't matter how large your faith is, it's not the quantity, it's the quality. Does your faith far exceed the limiting beliefs that you have about yourself? Because if it does, that's when you're going to start to see the results that you want to be able to produce to change your life so that you have the ability to see how powerful you are. Much love and light.